You know how it is, right? Emails and notifications and just everything online pulling at you all the time.
Yeah, constantly.
It's like we can never just focus.
It's hard these days.
We've got some sources all about the Pomodoro Technique,
Oh,
and I
wow.
think it'll be fun to take like a deep dive into this.
Cool.
I'm thinking a lot of our listeners already use productivity
Oh,
hacks.
yeah. Right?
So what's different about this one? What makes it so special?
It's really popular for a reason,
Ugh,
and it's not just some fad or something.
right.
There's a good reason why it works, and that's because it kind of goes with how our brains work naturally.
Okay.
Research has shown that the part of our brains responsible for focus and decisions works in cycles.
Oh, interesting.
So it's kind of like a muscle.
Ah, like it needs to rest.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it, but it's a bit more complicated than that.
Okay.
It's not just about getting tired. It's about how our brains uh, get more of the stuff they need to focus.
Oh, wow. So we shouldn't be trying to focus for hours and hours at a time.
Well, it's much better if you kind of go with how your brain naturally works.
So this technique works because it gives us breaks.
Right. It breaks our work up into little chunks that are about 25 minutes long,
Yeah.
and then you get a little break.
Got it.
And these breaks shouldn't just be like checking your phone or whatever.
Really?
It should be like a real break, you know, like stepping away and letting your brain process everything.
So how do you actually like do this technique then?
Well, first, you pick a task you want to do and set a timer for 25 minutes.
So I can't be like checking emails and writing a report at the same time.
Nope. You got to just pick one thing and focus on that one thing for 25 minutes.
Okay, so distractions are just going to magically disappear.
Probably not.
Okay.
You have to try to get rid of them as much as you can.
So like putting my phone away.
Yeah. Or closing all the tabs on your computer that you don't need.
Right, okay.
And if something pops into your head, just write it down and get back to what you were doing.
Okay, but what if like I try to focus for 25 minutes and just can't?
It's okay to be nice to yourself.
Oh, okay.
This is something you get better at the more you do it.
Okay, good to know.
It's not a test or anything.
All right, so I did my 25 minutes. What next?
Now you get a break.
Ah, okay.
Get up and stretch. Maybe listen to some music.
The point is to step away from work and let your mind relax.
So I shouldn't be like scrolling through my phone.
That's not really giving your brain a break, is it?
Okay, good point.
Even just 5 minutes can make a huge difference.
You were saying earlier that this can help prevent burnout.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
It's like if you were driving a car for hours without stopping.
Oh man, I would be so tired.
Right, and your brain's kind of the same way. If you try to focus for too long, you get mentally tired and you're not doing your best work.
Makes sense.
So by taking breaks, you're letting your brain relax and come back to work feeling fresh.
Right. So it's like giving my brain little pit stops.
Exactly.
So we do 25 minutes of work, then a 5-minute break, and that's it.
Well, you do that 4 times, and then you get a longer break.
Like 15 or 20 minutes.
And what should I be doing on that longer break?
This is a good time to like really step away from work. You know, go for a walk or read a book or talk to a coworker about something other than work.
Okay, so like completely switching gears.
Exactly. You want to come back to work feeling refreshed and with new ideas.
I can see how this is more than just time management.
Yeah, it's about making the most of how your brain works.
So you keep saying this technique is based on science.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me a little more about that?
So there's a bunch of research in neuroscience and psychology that shows working in these short focused bursts can really help you pay attention longer and not get so tired and just get more done.
Interesting. So it's not just like people saying it works, there's actual research behind it.
Yeah.
And what about multitasking? Does the research say anything about that?
It definitely does.
Okay, what does it say?
It says that when you try to do a bunch of things at once, you're basically making your brain switch back and forth really fast, and that actually makes you do worse work.
Huh, it's like trying to do too many things at once.
Right.
You might start a bunch of things, but probably won't finish any of them.
And you'll probably be stressed out too.
True, true. Okay, so we know this technique goes with how our brains work, and it can prevent burnout, and there's research behind it. But what if you're working on a big project, like something that feels kind of overwhelming?
That's a good question.
Do you just like break it down into 25-minute chunks?
Well, yeah, but you have to be strategic about it.
Okay.
One of the main things about this technique is to take big tasks and break them down into smaller ones.
So like instead of write research paper, it would be like research this topic and then make an outline.
Exactly. And you can break those down even more if you need to.
Right.
The point is to make a list of things you can actually get done in 25 minutes.
I see. So it's like making a map of the project and then using the timer to like get us there.
That's a really good way to think about it.
Oh, cool.
And this breaking things down is also good for like your mental state,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, How?
When we look at a big task, it can be really scary, and we just want to avoid it.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But when you break it down, it doesn't feel so bad.
Makes sense.
It's like climbing a mountain.
Yeah, if I keep looking at the top, it seems impossible.
Right. But if you just focus on taking the next step, you'll get there eventually.
I like that a lot.
So the Pomodoro Technique is all about focusing on that next step.
This has been really eye-opening, I'm realizing this isn't just about getting work done faster.
No, it's not.
It's about changing how I think about work.
Exactly.
It's like being more mindful about how I work.
It really is. You're focusing on just the task you're doing and trying to minimize all the distractions around you.
It's like being mindful, but for productivity.
Yeah, I like that.
That's so true. It really is like a totally different way of thinking about work.
It is.
In the stuff you shared, there was mention of like changing up the timings.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I think some people might be wondering, like, does it HIFI to be 25 minutes?
That's a good question, and it's actually one of the best things about this technique.
Oh, how so?
You can totally change it up to fit what you need.
So, like, if I can't even focus for 25 minutes, could I do like 15?
Definitely. You want to find what works best for you and how your brain focuses?
Okay, so you don't want to be fighting against it.
Exactly.
What about the breaks?
Those can change too.
Oh, okay.
Some people need longer breaks, and some people are good with just a couple of minutes.
So it's all about finding what feels right.
Yeah, you just have to try things out and see what works for you.
So we've been talking a lot about writing, but what about other kinds of work?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Could you use this for coding or design or even like chores around the house?
You can use it for almost anything.
Really?
The important thing is that you break your work down into chunks that you can do in one Pomodoro.
So like one Pomodoro for writing a paragraph or one Pomodoro for folding laundry.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same idea, just applied to different stuff.
Right. And some things might work better with longer Pomodoros.
Oh, okay. So like if I was working on a really hard coding problem, I might want to do like 45 minutes.
Yes, that's a good example.
And if I'm doing something that's like the same thing over and over, I might do shorter ones.
Exactly.
I'm realizing this is like more than just a way to get work done.
Yeah.
It's like a whole different way of thinking about work.
It is. It's about being more thoughtful about how you work and taking breaks when you need them.
Right, like being aware of your limits.
Exactly.
It's funny because this is almost like a mindfulness thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's so much going on all the time. It's like you can never just focus on one thing.
It's hard.
And this is like a way to step away from all that
Yeah, you're creating a space for yourself to just focus on one thing.
and not get distracted by all the noise.
Exactly.
I think this has become so popular because everyone's just looking for a bit of structure.
That's a really good point.
Like the world feels so crazy and out of control.
Yeah, it does.
And this technique gives you something you can control.
Right. It's like a routine that you can stick to no matter what else is going on.
I like that a lot.
And when you feel more in control, you're more likely to actually get stuff done.
That makes sense because when I feel overwhelmed, I just want to avoid everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I have a plan, I'm more likely to actually do it.
And you'll probably feel better while you're doing it too.
Yeah, because you're not just reacting to everything that's happening.
Right. You're in control.
We talked earlier about procrastination,
Mm-hmm.
and you said this technique can help with that because it breaks things down into smaller steps.
Yeah.
Can you say more about that?
So a lot of times people procrastinate because they feel overwhelmed by the task.
Right. It's like it just seems too big to even start.
Exactly.
But if you break it down, it feels less scary.
Exactly.
It's just like that elephant thing. How do
Yeah.
you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Right.
And the Pomodoro is like one bite of your task.
And you're more likely to keep going if you're seeing yourself make progress.
Definitely.
I'm realizing that procrastination isn't always just about feeling overwhelmed.
It's not.
Sometimes it's about being afraid to fail.
That's true.
Like, what if I try and I'm just not good enough?
Yeah. A lot of people feel that way.
So using this technique can help with that too.
It can, because when you're just focusing on one small step at a time, it doesn't feel so risky.
Right. It's like, it's okay if I mess this part up because it's just one small part.
Yeah, and you're also not focusing on making everything perfect.
Oh, right. Like just getting it done is good enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're just trying to move forward.
And that can be really freeing,
It can be.
Because I think a lot of us get caught up in trying to make everything perfect.
Oh, yeah, that could be a big problem.
And then we never even start.
Right, and then you get stressed out, and it's just a bad cycle.
This is really making me think about productivity in a totally new way.
Yeah, me too.
It's like it's not just about doing more work. It's about taking care of yourself.
That's a good way to put it.
Like giving yourself permission to take breaks and not be perfect.
Yeah, you have to be kind to yourself.
I think a lot of people think productivity is all about pushing yourself to the limit.
Oh yeah, like working all the time.
Right, like you can't be productive if you're not working every second of the day.
But that's not true at all.
This technique is about working in a way that's actually sustainable.
Exactly, and enjoyable.
Right, like you actually want to do the work.
Yeah. And you're taking care of your mental and physical health at the same time.
This has been really eye-opening.
It really has.
You know, it's amazing that something so simple can be so
I
powerful.
know, right? Sometimes the best solutions are the easiest ones.
And this is about so much more than just getting work done.
It really is.
It's about being more in control of your time and your attention and just feeling better about work in general.
Exactly. Well, it's a tool that can help you live a better life.
I think it's time to move on to the last part of our deep dive, where we'll talk about how to actually use this technique in your everyday life and some of the challenges you might face.
That sounds good to me.
We'll give our listeners all the tools they need to make this work for them. All right, so we talked about what this technique is and why it works and even how to make it your own.
Yeah.
But for people who are ready to try it out, where do they start? What's the first thing they need to do?
It's really easy to get started.
Okay, good.
You don't need anything special, just a timer.
So I don't have to get one of those tomato timers.
You can if you want, but you can just use your phone.
Right. Okay, so I got my timer. What's next?
Now you pick something you want to work on.
Anything.
Yeah, anything. It could be writing an email or finishing up a project or reading a book or even cleaning your house.
So it doesn't have to be like work,
Yep.
but it should be something I can actually do right.
Right. You don't want to pick something too big or vague.
Okay, so like instead of work on my website, it would be like write the About Me section.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're back to breaking things down.
We are.
So I picked my task, I set my timer for 25 minutes, and then what?
Then you just work on that task and nothing else until the timer goes off.
And this is where I put my phone away and close all my tabs and stuff.
Yeah, you want to get rid of all those distractions.
Okay, what if I get distracted anyway?
That's okay. It happens to everyone.
Okay, good.
Just notice that you're distracted and then gently bring your attention back to your task.
All right, timer goes off. I finished my first Pomodoro. What now?
Now you get a break.
Ah, okay.
Get up, stretch, get a drink. Just do something to relax for a few minutes.
And no checking email or scrolling on my phone.
You want to give your brain a real break.
Okay, and then I just do that whole thing again.
You got it. 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of break.
And then after 4, I get a longer break.
Yep, 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, so we've got the steps down, but what about like problems people might run into?
Oh, yeah, good question.
Like what if someone tries this and they're like, I hate this. This feels way too structured.
That's totally normal.
Okay, good.
Remember, this is just a guide. You can change it up however you want.
So if I need to take a break before the timer goes off, that's
Of
fine.
course. You have to listen to your body.
What are some other problems people have?
Interruptions.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's going to happen. You can't avoid it.
So what do I do when my coworker comes over to ask me a question in the middle of my Pomodoro?
Well, if it's a quick question, just answer it and then get back to work.
Okay.
But if it's something that's going to take a while, like a meeting or a phone call, just pause your timer and start again when you're done.
So it's like being flexible.
Exactly.
What if I'm like just not feeling motivated to do this?
Motivation can be tricky.
Yeah.
One thing that can help is to have a specific goal for each Pomodoro.
Okay. So instead of just like work on this project, it would be finish this section.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you can check it off your list when you're done.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It feels good to see yourself making progress.
You know, I think a lot of it comes down to being kind to yourself.
That's so true.
It's easy to get discouraged when you're trying to change how you work.
It is.
And then you just want to give up.
Yeah.
So how do you stay positive about it?
First of all, it's okay to mess up. It's okay to get distracted. It's okay to have days where you just can't focus.
Like it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
So instead of being mad at myself, I can just try again
Exactly.
and maybe try to figure out why I got distracted.
Yeah, like maybe you need to find a quieter place to work or turn off notifications.
I like that. So it's like turning a problem into a solution.
Yeah, you're always learning.
This is really making me think about productivity in a whole new way.
It's not just about getting things done. It's about how you feel while you're doing them.
Exactly.
And it's about being kind to yourself.
Well, I think this has been a really great deep dive.
Me too.
We learned a lot about this technique and how it can help us be more focused and get more done and even just feel better about work in general.
It's a really powerful tool.
It is, and I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to try it out.
Yeah, me too.
If you're not sure, just give it a try for a day or two and see what happens.
You might be surprised at how much you like it.
And remember, this is just a tool. It's not going to magically make you more productive overnight.
You have to be patient and practice.
But it can really make a difference in your
It
life.
can.
So as you go about your day, think about that tomato timer and what it represents.
It's all about focus and being intentional with your time.
And being kind to yourself.
That's important too.
Until next time, happy focusing.